Hey guys, so in not you ever notice that when you're out in the cold your nose runs and stuff like that? I get people saying blow your nose on the internet. I delete them because I think that they're inappropriate, but comments. But the point is that I think cold weather does something to a person. I know it happens to Sally's sinuses as well as my own. But anyway, I want to get on to something else here. I want to, again, I was thinking to myself, well, everybody knows what ethics is. Well, I come to the conclusion everybody does not know what ethics is, so I want to do a little bit on ethics. Just ethics by itself. Look, what drives a human being and what they believe in is, in my opinion, whatever they want. I am not going to try to change somebody. I don't care to change them. I'm just giving you some facts of what happened in my life and things like that. So here's ethics to me. Normally, in a college setting, ethics are taught to be a way of doing things that is not illegal, illicit, or let's say wrong in the eyes of man. Well, I take ethics one step further. I don't care about what man has to say because man cannot be trusted. That's my opinion. Okay? So rather than try and put trust in him, I let him be what he wants to be. Any man, except my own children. I try to steer them. But I let them be what they want to be, and then I have no expectations that are beyond what they could be. I just see what I see, know what I know. In other words, if I see that a guy knows how to cut 45s good, I know that he can cut 45s good. I don't assume that he can cut 30 degrees good, okay? Just for an example. But anyway, ethics to me is this. I'm a believer in God and therefore, and Christ, and therefore I let that drive me. If it's in the Bible and it's plainly written and I can understand it, I try to go by that. This is not to mean that I am some holy person, because I certainly am not. But here's the thing. You can find all of your answers there as far as ethics go. And not only ethics, because since ethics are what man expects, I don't go by that. I go by the ethics that what I consider God expecting. And I know that I may lose some people on this just because I'm talking about God and get some goofy comments, but that's beside the point. I don't really care about that. I'll just delete them. But anyway, the thing is that if you base your ethics on, like say the Ten Commandments for instance, just base your ethics on some of those things, you'll find yourself in better shape in business and in your personal life than you are if you don't base them on that. If you base them on some, like if you, let's say you based all your ethical, let's say you based ethics on how much money you made. Now, we can say that with good ethics, I believe this, with good ethics we can become successful. But how much money do we have? If we have $1 million, and can we now say, okay, we were not ethical, we made the million, now we want to be ethical? Well, in my view of things, that doesn't work. You have to be ethical from the beginning and then see what happens. And for me, ethics has been based on religion. Now, you can disagree with this or not. It doesn't really matter to you because I'm being what I want to be. You can be what you want to be. But what I do know is for me, for myself, basing ethics on religion does not allow very much leeway. There's one straight path to this. It's the way it is. It's the way that, for me, God has interpreted to me and made me understand. And I follow that as best as I can. There are times when man's ethics get in the way of my ethics. Off the cuff, the abortion thing would be a very quick way of, describing that. But again, whatever. I don't really care what a woman does with her body. That's up to her. I don't care. I do care what my wife does, though. So that's a little different. But here's the point. and my daughters. But here's the point. If you base ethics on something, you know, and whether it be taught in a college, the ethics are, you know, do your paperwork, provide accurate reports and stuff like this. This is man's way of telling you what to do. And the ethics that man lists out for himself are usually not bad. They're fairly good, okay? I mean, a lot of times, I remember when my son was going to engineering school, he was telling me about the ethics. I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that, only to find out that he would do this and he would do that. You know, because sometimes man's ethics put you in a corner, lock you in a hole, so that man, with man's own greed, he can allow himself to get ahead while you stay in the corner, okay? God's ethics that I found out don't do that. It allows for everyone to not have to stay in the corner. Now, you know, having said that, you know, if that's not the way you want to go, then don't go that way. Go whatever way you want. I'm just telling you what I do. So that means then that if I have an issue with an ethical thing, like there's a lot of times I'll say to Sally, hey, I'm just going to do this. And she'll say to me, I don't know about that. Something don't rub me the right way when it comes to that. And then we'll sit down and talk about it. And always, 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 whether you like it or not, we pull out a Bible because the Bible has the answer for us. All you got to do is find it. And you know, once you've read it a couple of times, you sort of know where stuff is. Now for me, what's the difference between a Bible or, you know, English graphic standards or whatever, or I mean engineering graphic standards? It doesn't friggin' matter. What you're taking something from, you know, information. The only difference is a belief. It's a belief in something. And whatever you believe in is what you believe in. There's nobody going to take that from you. If it starts out one way, it's not going to change unless you're enlightened to change or enlightened to not change. Whatever the enlightening is in your mind, I don't care what it is. But for me, that's what I use, and that's how we make decisions a lot of times. A lot of times, those decisions are not liked by the normal crowd. I have found my own kids do not like decisions based on these reasons for things. And in business ethics, sometimes I've been taken over or tried to be taken because my ethics are one thing and their ethics are another, and their ethics get them money faster than my ethics do, but in the long run, you know, I can sleep better at night, I can enjoy my day from one day to the next without worrying about what's going to come in the future so much. Now this is, what I'm talking about is the ethics have to be within you, okay? They're a personal thing. Now if you've got a team member, you know, or a partner, or any group, you have to be thinking on the same page to a degree, ethically. When it comes to opportunity and procedure you should be on the same page, but opportunity should be something that's a vision to somebody. You know, what do you see happening here, and can it happen? I've had a lot of people come to me and says to me, hey, this is a great idea, look at this idea. Okay, I looked at it, and then I asked one question and they couldn't answer it, so the idea was pretty much shot down. So when it comes to this business thing, ethics, like I say, is very important. Ethics is just plainly and simply an honest way of looking at things. Now, man has a way of stretching everything, and when I say man, I mean women as well. Man has a way of stretching stuff. You know, they'll stretch it until it fits what they need it to fit. I stretch things sometimes, but sometimes you cannot stretch stuff. There are certain things that should not be stretched, okay? You know, when you say to somebody truth and lie, and they say to you, what is truth? And they start off with some, you know, okay, they're going to give me some quotation somewhere of truth from some guy that decided he was mad at his mom that day and decided what is truth when I said I took a cookie, but I really, you know, she had mentioned I might be able to have a cookie, so did I really take it? You know what? That's a lot of nonsense in my book, and the truth is much more simpler than that. you know, is it raining out or is it not? It looks like it's raining because there's water running off the roof. However, that's from the snow. It is not raining when you go 2 feet from the roof, so therefore no water falling 2 feet from the roof, therefore it is not raining. That's how I come up with stuff. And you can't listen to other people tell you things, because if you do, now don't get me wrong, I don't mean in every instance, but you need to educate yourself about stuff, and then you can listen to what you're being taught. Like when I showed you the formulas yesterday, those formulas are an accurate depiction of what other people view as something. It's a language. So, you know, just like I get different hellos and goodbyes sometimes, which I really appreciate in different languages, because my wife and I like that. And here's the thing, this is a different language. So the language of math is always truthful in its results, okay? How you performed the math to get to the results, that's where the lie can be. That's where the ethics are infringed upon, okay? You know, whether you take A and divide it by B all the time, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look good, so you divide B by A, and now it looks a lot better. You know, that is not ethics. That is selfish and greed, trying to direct what you want to have. Unfortunately, in this country, greed and being selfish, and in all countries I suppose, is not a bad thing. Well, I do consider them bad and therefore try to get away from them. But they do end up being something else. I know I've seen in my life at least 5 tax collectors who were prosecuted for spending the tax money in my life in the different counties of Pennsylvania. At least 5 of them that I know of. And here's the thing, that's the ones that were caught. So, you know, man has a tendency to go the wrong way. The problem today, it seems, is if going the wrong way can be justified. And the reason, like I told you, that I don't go to government to borrow money, the reason that I don't want to use man's representation of ethics as my guide is simply because they're trying to justify themselves for something they've done wrong in a lot of cases. Not all, but some. I am not going to go that route, and I choose not to go that route, only for my own benefit. So, when I say my own benefit, I mean for the benefit of myself and those who deal with me. You know, if I make an agreement with somebody, and they only want their end of the agreement upheld, and they don't want to uphold my agreement, my end of it, I will walk away so fast it wouldn't even be funny. Because I believe that, you know, if I hold up my end and you don't hold up yours, then this agreement is broken. Okay, and I've had many of these in my life. Walked away from many things that could have been good, but weren't good because of either greed or being selfish. So, you know, this is just a little bit of the ethic thing. I'm hoping that, and I don't mean to step on toes. If the toes are stepped on, hey, so be it. But I don't mean to, okay? I'm just trying to explain to you what might drive a person and how they can use what they think to get to where they want to be. But overall, for me, getting to where I want to be is not an earthly thing. That's what screws up a lot of people. It's an after-death thing. So it all depends on how you look at things. There is no reason why a man who is letting religion guide him, you know, that's decent and good, and he's looked at it and come up with the goodness of it, rather than, you know, nitpicking, that's a good thing. But if you don't look at it that way, and your guide is you just want to be acceptable to others and acceptable and without blemish in your own mind, if that's what you're thinking, then go for that. It's better than no ethics at all, okay? And sometimes those are just can equally perform as well as other ethics from another source. But all I'm saying is, you know, when you look at rules and you read rules and regulations, especially in this day and age, oh my goodness, you know, they can write a law and one guy picks it all to pieces, the other person gets down on their knees and is thanking the people for writing it. And we saw that just recently when, you know, we're cheering for one thing, we're not cheering for something else that sounds, you know, it sounds crazy. Why are you not liking this? But so everybody has a different view of stuff. But in the end, you can have your political opinions. But let me tell you, when you go to court and you're in front of a judge, 99% of the time it's man's ethics that are going to rule. And if your ethics, and not your newfound ethics either, not the newfound ethics of the 60s that keep dragging on us like a freaking carbuncle on our butts, but you know, it's the ethics that have always been and always will be that are good, that are decent, and it doesn't matter where they come from if you like. So that's my opinion. I wanted to add that so that we understand what ethics is, so that we can move forward into the next lesson. So choose your weapons, choose how you're going to use your ethics. If you're going to use your ethics for greed and for selfishness, I really don't think you're going to get that far. Now, I'm not saying you won't. I'm not saying you won't. Because, I mean, sometimes I've been to McDonald's already and I'll say to them, how come you didn't put a napkin in the bag? Oh, well, our boss doesn't want us putting napkins in unless somebody asks for it. Really? That's hard for me to believe. You know, I have to ask for a napkin when I ask for my Happy Meal. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and I hope you're, again, enjoying these set of videos. I'm going to do the best I can to continue with them, but once I start getting piles of logs, I've got to tell you, I may jump ship. Not because I want to, but because I'll be forced to. Have a good one, my friends.